Boots, Namo Amida Boots, Namanda Boots, Namanda Boots, Namanda Boots, Gasho, Namo Amida Boots, Namo Amida Boots, Namo Amida Boots, Namanda Boots, Namanda Boots, Namanda Boots, Namanda Boots, Namanda. Hello, and thank you once again for joining us here at the Tri-State Denver Buddhist Temple. This is the YouTube fall service for October 17th, 2021. Service order for today will be Sanbujo. You can find Sanbujo on page 35 in the Blue Denver Service Book. We'll then chant Juseige. You can find Juseige on page 57 in the Blue Denver Service Book. We're then going to have a reading of the Anjin Ketsujo Sho. You can find the Anjin Ketsujo Sho on page 92 in the Blue Denver Service Book. We'll then have a Dharma talk. Thank you once again for joining us here at the Tri-State Denver Buddhist Temple. If you don't have a copy of the Blue Denver Service Book, don't worry, because if you look down in the description below, you'll find a hyperlink to the Google Drive where you can download your own PDF copy of the Blue Denver Service Book. Please feel free to download it, copy it, print it, and share it with anyone you'd like. And please remember to do all you can to make everyone's day the best it can be. And you are always an Amida's light.
実法如来野言調整が必死無浄土志願不満足政府上昇学が法無用功不意大摂取不在小便具政府上昇学が至上仏道妙正長寺法空教未正門政府上昇学利欲人少年上映修本業死具無浄土一生天人死人力現代公不生無才道少女三苦名交際集約難回避知恵言滅死根門案閉塞小悪道通断全宗門高僧上満足異様の寺法日願修十期天候不言一種解放像公正功徳法上大衆従説法ししく供養一切分具足修徳本元年心上満得意三概要 Nyon bun muge chi tsudan mi fu sho Gagaku eri toshi sai sho son shigan ya koka daisen no kando koku shoten ni to chin myo ke namanda bu namanda bu namanda bu namanda bu namanda bu namanda bu Ganishiku doku byodo seisai dohon bodai shin ojo anrako. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda 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 Butsu.
Please join me in Gassho for reading of the Anjin Ketsujo Sho, excerpts from the Notes of Unretrogressive Faith on page 93 in the Blue Denver Service Book. In this illusory course of human form, embraced by Amida's great compassion, we become one with him in Namo Amida Butsu. Deep in the illusionary mind of sentient beings is the deep impression of Amida Buddha's infinite life, which becomes one in Namo Amida Butsu. Even as we exhale and inhale, the deep impression of the Buddha's life prevails. Since the Buddha and sentient beings are one, by nature it is called Namo Amida Butsu. Every morning we awaken within the merits of the compassionate Buddha. Every evening we retire within Amida Buddha's wisdom. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu. Thank you for joining us once again here at the Tri-State Denver Buddhist Temple, and I'm now going to start the Dharma talk. If you could join me in Gassho as I read from the Gobunsho, the Letters of Renyo. This one is the 21st letter of the 5th fascicle, entitled Peaceful Awareness and the Nembutsu of Gratitude. What is meant by peaceful awareness in our tradition is that, no matter how heavily we may be burdened with bad karma, we just leave it all to the Buddha and, abandoning the inclination towards miscellaneous practices and the mixed ways of practicing, simply entrust ourselves to Amida Tathagata in the one-thought moment, single-heartedly and deeply with our whole being. Those who entreat Amida Buddha to save them will all be delivered, 10 out of 10, 100 out of 100. Regarding this point, there should not be any of the slightest doubt, even if there is 1 minute as the drop of dew. We speak of those who entrust themselves in this way as people who have fully attained peaceful awareness. Passages in the sutra and in the commentaries express this clearly, stating that, with awakening of the one-thought moment of faith, followers dwell in the company of those who are rightly assured for their birth, and referring to them as followers who have completed the cause in the daily life. We must bear in mind, therefore, that what is of vital importance is to simply entrust ourselves to Amida Buddha and the one-thought moment deeply with our whole being. In addition to this, we should simply always say the Nembutsu, whether walking or resting, sitting or lying down, with deep appreciation of all that Amida Tathagata has done for us in order to save us so readily, most humbly and respectfully. Namandabts, 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 namandabts. So I like this. It's a very short Gobunsho. What is meant by peaceful awareness is that no matter how heavily burdened we are by our karmas, we are simply saved by saying the Nembutsu. It's a pretty straightforward and yet very, very hard passage. And this came to my mind, and I wanted to read this because I've been seeing a lot of signs and things out in public. And I want to backtrack a little bit here. So my wife and I went on our first vacation since the start of the pandemic back in July to go celebrate my mom's birthday. And so we went down to Durango because her birthday is July 1st. So we went down there to celebrate, and my sister was in town. And on the drive back, because we were on vacation, because we were road tripping, my wife said, let's get Wendy's, which is not a common thing for us. We're not big fast food people, but sometimes you just need a Frosty, which you dip your fries into. And I think it's, if you're going to eat fast food, fries and a Frosty may be the best combination ever. And so we go to stop at this Wendy's, and on a sign on the Wendy's, it said, sorry, we're closed, staffing issues. And this was our first experience with this concept of staffing issues. Although it's not been our last. In our further vacationing in the summer, we went up to Seattle, and on the drive back from Seattle, we had discovered Taco Time, which once again is a fast food thing. This sounds like a trend. We're really not big fast food people, but Taco Time is great. It's like Taco Bell, but good. And so we looked it up on the Googles, and I think we were in Spokane driving back, and the Google said, yeah, this place is open until 10, and so it's 8:30, so we're super psyched. We're like, we're going to get some rolled chicken tacos. So we drive up to the Taco Time and said, sorry, we're closed, no staff. And I was like, oh, wow, this is really turning into a problem. I can't get my Taco Time. And this turned into a repeated thing throughout our drive from Colorado up to Seattle and back of, wow, there's a lot of places that are closed. And so in perusing social media lately, and even in my own ventures out, there have been this idea that there's not enough people out there working. And at the same time, that there's things like lines and everything else that we're having to be in. And yet when we look outside of our doors, at least here in the Denver metro area, we see homeless people everywhere, and things don't feel the way that we want them to feel. I'm not going to say they're not normal, because this probably is close to normal. It's just it's not being hidden away from us. And this is causing a lot of people to look inward. And while I was having a discussion with our wonderful administrator here at the temple today, she had said that she had gone to the pharmacy and there was a very long line. And at the front of the line, there's a sign saying, we know you're not used to waiting in line, but please, even though this is a hassle, be nice to the people that are working. And when she told me this story, I was very just like, wow, is this something we have to say? Are we in a point in time that we're like, oh, we're short-staffed, and so you must be nice to the people that are working because they're working very, very hard to serve you. And I was really shocked by that, because we should always be really nice to people and appreciate the cause and conditions and the hard work that they do. And yet we're human, and so our blind passions gets in front of us and our irritations, because don't you know what I'm doing right now is very important, and all the cause and conditions that brought me to this point, and you not being immediately there to wait on me is causing me distress. That is probably the thought that's going through a lot of people's heads. And so I wanted to talk today about awareness, being aware. And so many of you might know that I have worked and continue to work on my days off here at the temple on an ambulance for a long time. And we've had a staffing issue for the last year because of COVID. And it's only getting worse. And I get 10 texts a day saying, please come in and work, please come in and work. And I do on my days off. And we are all very stressed out. And yet you show up to a call, and no matter what's going on with you, you're walking into someone's worst day ever, 99.9% of the time. Because most people don't call 911 unless they truly have to. And so you walk in and they're having their worst day ever, and you're stressed out because you're on your, this isn't so much for me anymore, but a lot of my coworkers might be on their 70th or 80th hour that week. They haven't really been home in days. And this is just a lot of stress and a lot of sadness. And it's helpful for my paramedic coworkers and for myself to often take a step back and say, it's time to breathe. And so in my training of other paramedics, as that is part of my role, I have taught people that you don't put your gloves on inside the ambulance. And that might sound like a really odd thing, but when we're driving to a call, you don't put your gloves on. You step out of the ambulance and you stop and you take the gloves that are in your hand and you slowly put them on. And yes, this is definitely someone's emergency. Someone could be in a car accident, someone could be shot, but this is how I become aware of what's happening around me. As I put my gloves on, I slow down and I become aware of what's around me. This is not my emergency. I am here to help someone in their emergency. This is not about me. This is about them. This is my turn to give service to someone else. And this is a product of small a awareness. This is a product of what I can do to be aware of the plights of other people and their causes and conditions. Because no matter how tired I am going on a call, or how stressful I might be, or how bad the last call is, or anything else, or the fact that I just sat down for dinner and was about to put whatever it was we were about to eat as the tones dropped and I had to set it down, it's not their fault. It is my job to be kind and compassionate to these people. And that's the job of a first responder. But for many of us, well, actually all of us, you're all first responders. So when you walk up to someone and they're super, super stressed out, you're the first responder in that interaction. You're the first person to create that interaction. Are we going to make it harder on someone, or are we going to make it better? You get the chance to be the hero that day. You get the chance to pick someone up. You get the chance to improve someone's life. There's another sign going around social media right now talking about homeless people in tents. And yes, it's hard to drive down through downtown Denver and see all these homeless people on the sidewalks, in tents, in with tarps, in broken down RVs on the side of the road, and all the other things that really weren't part of Denver 5 years ago, but they're part of Denver today. And so we can drive by and gripe and want to call the cops and get our sidewalks clean, but we also have to remember these are human people with causes and conditions. And our response to them is the first response between me and them, between you and them, between them and us. And our first response can be positive. We can step down and slow down and put on our gloves slowly and look around and try to understand who and what they are and why they're going through what they're going through, or we can flip the table. And so the sign that's sitting out there says, this is someone's home, please don't screw with it. Please don't mess it up. Why would you want to mess up someone's home? It's not what we might consider a home. It's not an apartment like I live in, or a house like a lot of other people live in, but it is what people have. And so we can share small c compassion, the kind of small compassion that we are capable of. And so this is why our relationship with the Nembutsu is so important. What is meant by peaceful awareness in our tradition is that no matter how heavily we may be burdened with bad karma, we just leave it all to the Buddha and abandoning the inclination towards miscellaneous practices and mixed ways of practicing, simply entrust ourselves to Amida Tathagata in the one thought moment single-heartedly and deeply with our whole being. We are so lucky that we have been exposed to the Namo Amida Butsu, the Nembutsu. And so we can take our awareness of all of our causes and conditions, all of the burden and bad karma, and we can say, oh, how much more so am I saved because of this? How much more so does the Nembutsu work for me because of this? And I can say, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, and know that I am liberated and that my birth in the Pure Land is settled. And because of that, I can then go out and interact with the world positively. Because in the end, for me, my story is going to end amazingly. So let's let that amazing end of our stories that may be 50 or 60 years off, but let's let that knowledge radiate out through us. And let's let our first response be a positive one. And so what I'm here to tell you today is that you are all first responders of the Nembutsu. You are all first responders of Jodo Shinshu Buddhism. So every time that you go out and interact with someone, be the first responder of positiveness and let the Nembutsu shine out through you. Remember that the person behind the desk, the person behind the Wendy's counter who was going to eat your fries and your Frosty, the person working their 80th hour is tired and stressed. And how can we let the Nembutsu shine through us to make their day just a little bit better? That's the glorious and the amazing thing of being a Jodo Shinshu Buddhist, is we have the opportunity to do that. You get to share the medicine, the universal medicine that is the Nembutsu. Not necessarily by saying, oh, you have to say this, but by letting the Nembutsu and the gratitude that you have towards Amida Buddha for saving you shine through. So, please join me in being a first responder. So every time you see one of those signs out there that says, oh, we're trying really hard, but the wait might be long, or you order the sandwich and that sandwich takes 25 minutes instead of 5, think, oh man, that person must be working really, really hard. And give them the big smile and let the light of Amida Buddha shine through you. So please join me in Gasho as we listen to the words of Renyo Shonin, telling his people hundreds of years ago much the same message. The fifth fascicle in the 21st letter of the Gobunsho, peaceful awareness and the Nembutsu of gratitude. What is meant by peaceful awareness in our tradition is that, no matter how heavily we may be burdened with bad karma, we just leave it all to the Buddha and, abandoning the inclination towards the miscellaneous practices and the mixed way of practicing, simply entrust ourselves to Amida Tathagata in the one thought moment single-heartedly and deeply with our whole being. Those beings who entreat Amida to save them will all be delivered, 10 out of every 10, 100 out of every 100. Regarding this point, there should be not the slightest doubt, even if it is minute as the drop of dew. We speak of those who entrust themselves in the way of the people who have fully attained peaceful awareness. Passages in the sutra and the commentaries express this clearly, stating that, with awakening of the one-thought moment of faith, followers dwell in the company of those who are rightly assured of their birth, and referring to them as followers who have completed the cause in daily life. We must bear in mind, therefore, that what is of vital importance is simply entrust ourselves to Amida Buddha in the one-thought moment deeply with our whole being. In addition to this, we must say the Nembutsu, whether we are walking or resting, sitting or laying down, with deep appreciation of all that Amida Tathagata has done for us in order to save us so readily, most humbly and respectfully. Please join me in Gasho. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu. Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu, Namanda Butsu. Namanda.